This conference will now be recorded.
Well, good morning, everyone. It's great to see so many folks online, and I suspect more will join us as the call progresses. Those of you who don't know who I am, I'm Wayne Mitchell with the Nacogdoches County Chamber of Commerce. It's a very busy day at your Chamber of Commerce. We've already got the board meeting behind us this morning, and we have the conference call here. And a little later this afternoon at 6 o'clock, we will have our 99th annual meeting at the Fredonia Hotel and Convention Center, where we anticipate about 450 folks joining us. I want to remind you this call is being recorded and will be posted on the Chamber's YouTube site later this afternoon. In addition to that, members of the media have been invited to participate, and we welcome them and their participation this morning as well. I'm pleased to introduce a fellow I've had the privilege of working with now over 5 years. I've had the pleasure of being a lobbyist for some period of time in the state of Maine, and I've got to tell you that I could not think of a better representative either in Maine or in Texas than the Honorable Travis Clardy, representing the great folks here in Nacogdoches County. He's a guy that helps instrumental in putting together the Lone Star Legislative Summit. He works with us on our priority issues, and I'm pleased to say he has one of the highest rankings in business by the Texas Association of Business. So it's a pleasure to introduce the Honorable Travis Clardy. I'd like to also acknowledge the fact that Travis recently lost his mother, and you have our deepest sympathy during this very difficult period. With that in mind, good morning, Representative Clardy.
Good morning, Wayne. Thank you for the introduction and for your kind sentiments. I didn't expect you to get me all misty-eyed to start off. So, but yeah, it's been a interesting but difficult few weeks, and thank you for all of you that sent notes on Facebook and notes and flowers. I was really touched and overwhelmed by the outpouring of support and sharing the burden with Judy and I as we've gone through this with our family. We all get our turn in that box sooner or later. And that's the great thing about Nacogdoches, how really loving and caring our community is, and how we support each other through thick and thin. And once again, you showed that with Stars and Stripes. So, but great to be here this morning. I was telling Wayne before we got on, we have a 10:30 formal hearing to vote out a bill that's on the special session. And I want to talk a little bit about the other legislation we have. This is our third special session, and I've said before, that's a new record for me, that there's nothing special about a special session. I've done one, I think the first session, 2.5, but that, and really otherwise we got 2 sessions with no specials, and I much prefer that. But we've been told already that we anticipate a 4th special session on the heels of this one, probably to deal with the U.S. congressional maps and anything that lingers and or gets added to the call at the tail of this one. That is not welcome news to any of us. I will tell you anecdotally, talked to several members who were here back, I think it was in the late 90s. I believe Governor Perry was the governor, and they went through, it was like 7 special sessions, like back to back in a row with very little time in between. And unfortunately, that resulted in, I think I've been told the number, if I got this correctly, resulted in like 12 bankruptcies and 9 divorces. So this does take a toll on people and on families, on businesses. I would much rather be in Nacogdoches right now with y'all than in Austin, but we do have things we have to do. This is a special session I won't say don't resent as much. This is the special session that we knew was coming to do the redistricting, draw the maps for Texas Senate, Texas House, U.S. Congress, and the State Board of Education. And we knew it was going to have to be in the special because the U.S. Census Bureau didn't get the data to us. And I'm not blaming anybody. It's just through the pandemic, it made it a very difficult census cycle that we do every 10 years. By the time that information was all pulled together and they related it to us, the big number, total population in Texas, I want to say right towards the end of session, of regular session. And so, then we could do our math. 31 senators goes into that number. That's how many Senate seats there are. That's the population. 150 in that same population. That's the average population for a House district. We knew we were picking up 2 congressional seats. I think we were disappointed not to get 3. We even heard we might get 4. But I think the census figures we're down really across the country. Interestingly, we're picking up 2, which is a significant gain compared to other states. One of the states that lost for the first time ever is the state of California. And I don't know if that's a direct correlation with the number of people who moved from California to Texas in the last 10 years, but it's probably pretty close. So hopefully we're doing our job, and we're proselytizing those Californians and turning them into proper Texans. You know, when you get somebody that moves to Texas to start saying fixing in the sentence the right way, you know we've got them. I think that's the litmus test. And so let's keep preaching the gospel of Texas and winning these folks over once they get here. But the redistricting process is ongoing. It's a very fluid situation. I cannot tell you at this moment what my district will look like, other than I will absolutely be keeping Nacogdoches County. I fully expect to keep Rusk County, but everything else is a little fuzzy. And part of the reason is we have seen already a number of retirements and resignations of members who are not going to seek re-election. For the record, we'll be doing this more formally, but I will be seeking re-election if y'all will see fit to send me back. I thoroughly enjoy the opportunity to represent Nacogdoches County in House District 11, and there's some things we really want to get done going forward. And I've told folks a long time ago, I will do this job as long as I still enjoy it and doing a good job. And I think that I still am. And I'm proud of the work we've done, but I know we have a lot more to do. There's several challenges facing our city and our community and our district, facing our university and other institutions. So I think it's important to have an experienced hand on the tiller, and I am offering my services in that regard. So, but as we go through this redistricting process, we're going to be, there are certain rules you have to follow, and you have to fall within the mathematical average that works for Texas House. And by the way, the maps all have different rules. The U.S. Congress, they have to be exact down to a single individual. So that's why you see some of these crazy maps that they're squiggled. Literally, one house across the street will not be in the same district from somebody else, and they can't come within 2% of average. It's got to be to the person. The Senate map is not so strict, and then the Texas House map, thanks to Speaker Tom Craddock years ago, we have what's called the one county rule, that if a county is below that average number, with very few exceptions, that county remains intact. And the purpose of that law was to retain communities of interest, so that we're all represented by the same person. Now, there's always going to be one county that has to get divided. Just when you get down to the making all the different regions fit together, it'll throw that off. But the one county rule has served rural Texas extraordinarily well, and we expect that it will again. The goal I have is to make sure we return a strong delegation from East Texas, that we protect these rural seats so that we can give voice to the issues that are important to East Texas. And knowing that no matter how good of a job we do, we've seen a population continue to concentrate in the major urban and suburban areas. But it's important, I think, more than ever, that rural Texas is represented, because, frankly, without our folks, our food, our fuel, our fiber, those cities just don't work real well. And so we will be slogging that out. But I think we're coming to a pretty good draft map. I'll be meeting with Chairman Hunter this morning. But one of the reasons it's so fluid is yesterday, Phil King, good colleague of ours from Parker County, lives in Weatherford, announced he's running for the Senate. Well, that throws things off a little bit. Last week, I guess Thursday, Friday, Chris Patty, my good friend and classmate and neighbor to the north, announced he's not seeking re-election, which threw off the maps that we had drawn. So we had drawn maps that worked, and then Chris's district, he steps out, and then we've got to kind of reallocate that district and move it around. So somebody said it's like a big game of Tetris, I think is the game. I don't play it, but they said that's what it's like. Every time you move something here, move something over there. So, but I think we're getting very close to a final plan. I think we will be, what it should work. Everybody gets what they need and want, but everybody's going to give a little ground. Everybody's going to work to make sure everybody's treated fairly. And I think it's been a very productive process. So happy with that. Stay tuned. While I'm thinking about it, I will be doing our Facebook Live on my Travis for Texas site this Friday. I do it every other week. I did one 2 weeks ago right after my mother passed away, and so it's time to do one again. And so I'll hopefully by that time may have a better picture of what the map looks like. But again, I think we're on a good schedule, good course, and more to follow. Otherwise, we knew redistricting was going to be on the special, but several other things were added to the call. One of which we also were expecting to come up, and that is the legislation concerning appropriations of federal funds that flowed to Texas through the American Rescue Plan Act, the ARPA. We were uncertain what that number would wind up being. I think it still winds up being 18 billion, but when you get down to what's available to be spent and allocated, there's, as I understand it, $4 billion. That'll be going to Chairman Bonin, Greg Bonin, my classmate, and as chair of our appropriations committee, and they're sorting through that. So we're tracking that to see what funds will be available to help our counties, help our cities, to go into healthcare, to help rural hospitals. What are we doing with those funds, and what the plans can be for that. Another bill which is probably going to cause a lot of friction and heat and potential discord is it's not Senate Bill 29 anymore, but it's a transgender athlete bill. Governor Abbott has put that on the call. I'm a co-author of that. I'm a strong supporter of, and always have been, since my wife's a tennis All-American in college. I'm a strong supporter of Title IX and women's athletics. I think it's important that we protect the sanctity and the fairness of those athletic procedures. I will tell you right now, as we speak, the UIL has a good rule in place. We've not seen that really be a problem in Texas. So this is in anticipation of what may be around the corner. But again, despite what you may have heard, this is not a mean-spirited, bill to pick on anybody that's, having a difficult issues in their personal life. But what it is intended to do is protect athletic competition in our schools, both male and female, to make it fair and honest. So other legislation we got there's a legislation that's been proposed for vaccine mandates. In looking at what the feds have done, as you know, President Biden issued an executive order basically trying to require employers to require a vaccine. And so I think we're looking at what we can do as a state to protect employers and individuals' right to make decisions on their own. I've compared this, in my personal view, I've compared this to the 30-06 signs, for whether you want to have a open carry in your premises. You still have a right in your home and in your business that you operate to say, no, you can't do that here. You have a right to do it on your own property or somewhere else that allows it, but not here. And vaccines much the same way. That's a personal decision of those employers to make. But I think it works both ways. If an employer says, no, in my business, we are going to require vaccines, again, that's a private employer making a private decision, and then those employees can make the decision that they need to make that accommodates themselves and their lifestyle and their health decisions. But this is really kind of unsettled ground for all of us. We're all continuing to see Dr. Head there. I've talked to Jeff Patterson recently, talked to the folks over Memorial. This pandemic has not gone away, and in fact, we're seeing very, very dire consequences. I mentioned Chris Patty a while ago. He had a cousin that passed away in Shelby County, young man. Anecdotally, we continue to hear these stories. So, this is still a serious issue. The best thing we can do is still be smart individually and protect yourself, protect others, and be prudent in what you do. But, we all should be concerned as Americans, that do value our freedoms, about the oppressive overreach of government. Regardless of how well-intentioned it can be. So that issue is going to be, I'm sure, is going to be a very hotly contested bill if we get to it. We started this session on September 20th, so it'll go to October 20th, basically. So we're well into the session, and committees are meeting, and hopefully we'll get through these and avoid the necessity of a fourth special. That's my favorite plan. A couple of things the governor's put on there. He's asked that it's called the dog tether bill. I personally, I love animals, love dogs. I don't see this as being a matter of vital state importance. It has to be taken up in a special. It had been passed during the session, but the governor vetoed it. But then has, I guess, reconsidered his position and has placed that back on the call to be brought back. I don't know if that's because the bill was flawed in some way. This wasn't a major focus of me in the last session. I strongly support individual's, ability to, it's your dog, and you should do what you want to with your dog. And I hope everybody will treat them nicely and kindly and decently. But that bill's coming back up. So let's see for some tweak that needs to happen to it that makes it that a bill that Governor Abbott can sign. And otherwise, the door always stays open for Governor Abbott to pick up and add things to the call as he sees fit. But so far, I think that covers the waterfront of items on the special call, and then we'll see what progresses on the redistricting maps. So that's a pretty quick run through of where we are, what we're doing. Let me take a break here and open this up, Wayne. If there's anybody that has any questions about where we are and what you'd like to see, I'd be more than happy to answer those.
Well, first of all, thank you, Representative Clardy, for a very thorough overview of the special session. We appreciate that, and especially the interesting information about redistricting. Could you kind of give me a sense of why there is such reluctance to dip into the so-called rainy day fund, especially to fund institutions, the colleges around that took a hit within the last couple of years?
Yes, I think in a lot of ways the Texas legislature historically, since I've been, we're pretty stingy, and so if we see monies come in, from the feds that have not been allocated as other resources that can address the critical needs of the state and the most important needs, we don't like to go into the rainy day fund. We also have in the last couple sessions done some things with the rainy day fund to peel that money away to serve other specific needs, whether in public education or transportation. So for a while there, Wayne, we were looking at that, and particularly with really high prices or strong prices in the energy sector, which funds the vast majority of the rainy day fund. We were seeing that thing fill up to levels nobody ever expected. When they set up the rainy day fund, they were hoping one day they might have $100-200 million in it, if they took a long enough time. And we're back up, I believe, if memory serves, around $12 billion in that fund. There's a point to which the money flows over to general revenue. And there are some of us that think we could use that judiciously, but I think the short answer to why don't we spend it is because we'd rather spend somebody else's money first and then see what we need to do with the rainy day fund. And the rainy day fund does play an important role in keeping the Texas bond ratings as low as they can possibly be. And we get very favorable terms on any borrowed money or any, from our political subdivisions that's secured by the state of Texas or guaranteed by the state of Texas. So, I think we're at a place right now we don't need to spend it. But the other reason is right now I think we're in a good place on the budget, good place with the Texas economy. But that does not mean there won't be, quote, rainy days in the future. I still marvel at how well the national economy is doing with some of the policies that are currently being followed by the Biden administration, some of which, I guess, as far as the money that has been rolled out by executive fiat, not backed up by anything, and the trillions of dollars that were just magically created with the stroke of a pen. Once upon a time, I knew that was going to result in, could result in inflation, if not hyperinflation. But here we are, interest rates are still low, things are rocking along, but somewhere there, I just keep thinking that we better save that rainy day money. We may need that down the road. So that's my personal view of that.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Other questions for Representative Clardy?
Good morning, Travis.
Morning, Josh.
Any thoughts on the first draft of the U.S. congressional map that came out yesterday that moves Nacogdoches County into Pete Sessions' district?
Yeah, I saw that. I'll tell you, I'm not sure of the genesis of that map, Josh. We were told last week that the congressman had submitted a map with really no input from the Texas legislature, and Chairman Hunter was not particularly enamored by what they had come up with on their own. They've not spent a lot of time talking to us about what they want. That's why I think that the congressional map may take longer. We're going to focus on the state Senate and state House maps and get those done and then move to the congressional map. Personally, at first it scared me because what they proposed, and again, that's a draft, but it looped around. I thought it went into all the way around the south side of Austin, but I got a little closer and I saw, no, it stops in Williamson County, touches a little bit of Travis County. But still, that's a different direction than we've ever gone before. Represent Cherokee County, it has been the easternmost county of Lance Gooden's district, which goes all the way into the eastern side of the Metroplex. This is more like that. I think it does preserve a lot of communities of interest that do share a common heritage and economy with Nacogdoches. I don't dislike the map. I know that it took us out of Congressional 1, which is Louis Gohmert, who's been our longtime congressman, and puts with Pete Sessions, both of whom have been there a long time and experienced congressmen. But let's, I think right now it's one of those deals. I tell people jokingly that, we first get here to session, and I've heard this from several members. They got here, I'm going to read every bill. I'm going to read every bill before I vote on it. Well, there's something to be said that you need to wait for a draft or two of the bill to work through the committee to get to where it's close to what it might look like at the end. And so I think these congressional maps are probably the same way, Josh. There's probably going to be a lot of tweaking and whirring around before that's finalized. But you added 2 seats, it's going to make the maps different. And again, they got different rules. So I'm assuming the map we looked at is mathematically, computationally correct. But we'll be looking at hopefully after we get ours done.
All right.
Other questions for Representative Clardy? Well, if not, first of all, we hope you get back to Nacogdoches soon. We're going to miss you tonight, I suspect. I understand you're tied up down there, but 450 of your best friends here in Nacogdoches will be thinking of you while we're enjoying our wonderful evening at the Fredonia. So
I'll have a great time. Miss that at the banquet. I hate to miss that. And there's some other things I've been missing. I really don't like being away from home this much. But hopefully I'll get back this Friday, do our show. And then, best wishes. Let's hope the Lumberjacks can finally knock off those Bearcats this Saturday at the Battle of the Pines.
Well, thank you again, Representative Clardy. We appreciate it.
All right. Thank y'all. Bye-bye.
Okay, sir. I'm pleased to welcome the city manager for the city of Nacogdoches, Mario Canizares. Good morning, Mario.
Hey, good morning, Wayne. Good morning, everyone. It was good to hear and see Travis. It's been a while since I had a chance to chat with him for over the last several months, so it's good to see him. Not much to report. The council is not meeting not meeting next Tuesday on their normal meeting time. They normally meet the first and third Tuesday of the month. Next Tuesday is National Night Out, and so council decided to push their regular meeting from the first Tuesday to the second Tuesday. So they'll meet on October the 12th. So speaking of NNO, National Night Out is next Tuesday, October the 5th. The intent of that is for neighbors to meet neighbors and learn about each other, and to also work with law enforcement and other public safety officials as they make rounds throughout the community. If you're not part of a neighborhood watch group or neighborhood organization, there will be some activities next Tuesday beginning at 6 p.m. at the Recreation Center at 1112 North Street. So those of you who don't have the ability to do that around your home or your neighborhood, please come out to the Recreation Center. They'll have some booths set up. And so again, this is an opportunity for neighbors to meet neighbors and to get good meet our law enforcement folks. Also, council members will be out and about, and so hope everyone can participate, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for City Manager Mario? Well, first of all, anything we can do to help promote that, let us know. We'll be glad to. I sat through a presentation by Chief Seavey just a little while ago on National Night Out, and it sounds like a wonderful opportunity to coalesce in the neighborhoods. So hopefully my folks in Summer Hill Circle will be in the park enjoying a great evening as well. So thank you, Mario, very much. I'm pleased to welcome the President and CEO of the Nacogdoches Economic Development Corporation, Larissa Philpott. Good morning, Larissa.
Good morning, Wayne. Just a quick note about job fairs. We had an excellent turnout at our the NEDCO and Texas Workforce Development job fair last week, and we are in the process of actually planning another job fair related to the healthcare industry. We know that we've got a ton of companies out there looking for employees, so we will be setting that up soon, and we'll be sure to share that with our friends at the chamber so y'all can help us get the word out. And that is all I have for you this week. Thanks, Wayne.
Thank you, Larissa, and we'll look forward to seeing you tonight at the big event. So
yes, sir.
Thank you very much. Any questions, Larissa? Great. Well, we'll move on. I'm pleased to welcome the director of the Visit Nacogdoches, Sherry Morgan. Good morning, Sherry.
Good morning, Wayne. Good morning, friends. Hotel occupancy for August came in at around 48%, which is fairly normal for us. We tend to hover right in that standard deviation of, about 50, 51%. But even though it came in at 48%, it was down 7% from August of 2020. And an explanation of that is just simply the context. August 2021 represented an end of summer with somewhat normal travel patterns that we have seen historically outside of the pandemic. Whereas August 2020, things were still opening up from the shutdowns and travel was a bit more robust. So we're still doing great. The figures from Smith Travel Research actually show us that for the calendar year 2020, our hotel occupancy suffered a loss of about 22%. And we don't even have the final figures in from our third quarter, and we are seeing gains of 25%. So for us here locally, our recovery from the pandemic's effect on hotel occupancy, at least, is solid. This past Thursday, we had just an outstanding event with the motorcycle cannonball ride, which featured vintage Harley-Davidson motorcycles. 65 riders and their teams rode into town on bikes that were manufactured between 1917 and 1939. And that had our hotels full to brimming leading up to and even following, with not only the riders and teams, but motorcycle enthusiasts from all over. And as per usual, we received just the highest praise for our amazing little historic hamlet here in Nacogdoches. We love a successful event in and of itself, but this cannonball was even more special, as this was one of our events that was postponed due to COVID. And let's see, sorry. Yeah, okay. Bright, shiny objects coming in. This was one of the events that was postponed due to COVID and was rescheduled and came back and went off better than we could ever have imagined. And I want to send out some special thanks to our crew of Nacogdoches ambassadors who helped us welcome and execute the itinerary for that day, including Mary Montniak and Chris and Allison Hancock, among others. And for those of you who believe in signs, the oldest bike on Thursday, as I mentioned, was manufactured in 1917, which happens to be the same year that the post office that now serves as the Charles Bright Visitor Center was originally built. Coincidence? I think not. Friday, October 22nd is our next big event. The Fab Five come to Nacogdoches for another full moon concert. Tickets are $10 in advance and are available on Eventbrite or here at the Visitor Center, and they also will be sold at the gate for $15. So come on out for that. They are an outstanding tribute band. They bill themselves as a 60s tribute band, but they literally come dressed as the Beatles, and they have a huge cult following. And hot off the presses, y'all are the first to hear that following week on October 28th, Visit Nacogdoches has joined forces with Stephen F. Austin State University and Johnson Coliseum to bring you a concert by a Blink 182 tribute band. So there's more information still to come. This is, we're really excited about this collaboration with SFA and the fine staff there at Johnson Coliseum. October is Breast Cancer Awareness, and as such, Visit Nacogdoches has planned a sip and stroll scavenger hunt called Booze Clues all through the month of October, but specifically on October 23rd, participants can pay for a punch game card that will lead them to different destinations to play our game, and we'll have a special commemorative t-shirt for sale with proceeds going to benefit Susan J. Komen. A special shout out from my heart specifically to this amazing team over here at Visit Nacogdoches. It's humbling as the official named leader of this group to watch the actual true leadership exhibited by these fine women and men every day. They pitch in on weekends and late nights, and even this morning, Joanna pulled janitorial duty in our bathrooms to keep them up to their standard that we're known for on TripAdvisor. And that's, we're suffering a little employee shortage in the city for the janitorial staff, and she thought nothing of it and just pitched right in. And there's just not a lot of people that will do that, but that is just a drop in the bucket to the effort that's put in every day by this staff. Sometimes when folks make things look effortless and easy, we tend to disregard the actual effort that logically goes into putting on any kind of event or making people feel special and welcome when they come to visit our town. But we also fail to give credit where credit is due. So I want to take a moment now to thank Joanna Temple and Ashley Morgan and Mike Bay and Cheryl Bartlett for everything that you do to promote Nacogdoches, to make me look good, to make the city look good. I couldn't ask for a better team, and so thank you. Lastly, Gary Lee wanted me to speak as a United Way board person to let you all know that next week marks the midpoint for this year's Better Days Are Here Nacogdoches Area United Way campaign, and as such, next week will be designated United Way Week here in Nacogdoches. Each day, look for activities that will bring awareness to the good work being done right here in Nacogdoches, Shelby, and San Augustine counties. Last night, I know I worked with Kenny Rena on the arrangements to sell United Way t-shirts right here at the Visitor Center. And those t-shirts will be printed by our friends at Spirit Outfitters, who always do such a great job for our promotional items and for others in the community. So great partners. So yeah, be sure and keep an ear and an eye out for more information coming from your United Way about next week's fun. And as always, a special shout out to you on this call as well, and to your frontline workers. Thank you for all that you do every day in ways big and small to help make Nacogdoches a great place to market and share with the public. Bye.
Thank you, Sherry. Any questions of Sherry? Gary Lee, do you have anything to add from United Way?
No, I just snuck that in. Sherry was kind enough as a board person to get that in because somebody didn't put me on the agenda. You never do that again.
I'll fire that guy, whoever that is. I'll take care of that. So that'll never happen again. So I'm pleased to welcome the President and CEO of the Texas Forest Country Partnership, Nancy Wyndham. Good morning, Nancy.
Good morning. Thank you so much. I appreciate this. I will try to make this quick, but we've got a lot of exciting things going on, and I have some information straight from Ray Perryman to share with you. But I'd like to start off by, again, thanking all of our partners. It seems like we have a really nice tick and up grade of projects that are looking at our rural Deep East Texas area. Those are active. Those are now still prospects just looking, but it's much more than I can remember us having since I have moved back here in 2014. But just wanted to highlight an event that the partnership held. It was at Stephen F. Austin University. It was a workshop last Friday. It was on just rural economic development and very critical. What is it? And the differences between community and business development, talked about boards, staff, city and county staffs, elected officials, best practices. What we're hoping to do is for it to be just a jump start for each county to design a new strategic plan for themselves, something different, something after the pandemic. Very simple. If you want to know any more information about that or recording, just let us know at the office. But what was really cool is at the end, we designed exchange of information, Dr. Cooper at Stephen F. Austin, who is working with the committee and with the Center for Applied Research and Rural Innovation, a great group come together, but he led a discussion with all of our partners there. And what the goal is to find out what we have in our region and how the Cary Center can develop the plans and move forward specifically for the jobs that we're looking for here and the information they need. So it was a great time to have a face-to-face. So I would encourage each of you, if you're called upon to provide information for the development of this Cary Center moving forward, to do so. It's very critical. It will give us a great leg up to providing information to expanding industries and new industries coming into the area that we're able to provide that training for the workforce. I also want to mention and give a shout out to all of our partners. We've said this over and over, but can't say it enough, of how we are to support and how important the DP's Texas Workforce Solutions. I know I'm going to leave some of them off, but FBDC, all of our school districts, our chambers, Stephen F. Austin, Angelina College, East Texas Manufacturing Alliance is beginning to get back into the grind now that some of the restrictions are lifted. It needs to really be involved with what's going on with training our workforce. And of course, the Texas Workforce Commission, Department of Agriculture, and then DECCOG. But one thing we're going to be doing is we're going to man the booth. And Sherry, I need to visit with you about this. I'm volunteering to man our booth at the Texas Forest Trails Region booth at the Texas State Fair in Dallas. There are volunteer opportunities if anybody wants to volunteer to man that booth to promote our region. Don't forget to mark your calendar for October the 26th here in Nacogdoches at the Fredonia Hotel for our annual Economic Development Summit. Well, what I'm really excited about is just give a quick report. I was invited to be on a panel for a group in Dallas called Why Texas, and it's a statewide group of CEOs, but now we've got many members and supporters of that organization. They had their annual summit. It was live and virtual, but we were invited to be on a panel. The title of it was The Great Texas Migration, specifically talking about rural Texas. Carlton Swab, the Texas Economic Development Council, and then Misty Mayo from Abilene. We were on a panel and we were talking about what is happening in rural Texas and from my position, what specifically for DP's Texas for manufacturing and for new business. And I visited with Scott Smith and Glenn Hammer. In fact, Glenn was there with the Texas Association of Business about promoting our area, what's going on. The most interesting thing that was discussed was a conversation I had with Ray Perryman. And I had sent this to Kelly and to Wayne, but let me just hit the high spots and then I will leave way for others to speak on this call. But it says rural Texas is vital to the fortunes of the state and indeed the entire country, while currently responsible for only about 10.7% of Texas population and 8.3% of the state's workers. Rural Texas accounts for 69.4% of all farm employment and 77.4% of timber jobs, both of which are vital to the quality of life and well-being of all of us. Many of you have heard me tell the story about sending the message up to the governor's office and to our metroplexes that just go into your home and put out on the street anything that was made with forest products and water. Then go back into your house and tell your family you can't have any more chicken nuggets, no eggs, no omelets, no milk, no more steaks, food and beverage. Then go back into your house and then tell us exactly how important DP's Texas is to your family. So with that said, some of the other stats, and Kelly, I'm sure you and Wayne will share this with everybody, but a couple of things that really stood out to me specifically for our region is DP's Texas is a microcosm of a pattern. It accounts for 1.3% of the state's population and 0.9% of employment. Its vast forest provides 56.8% of the state's timber-related jobs and about 13.1% of wood products manufacturing. This sector is also the source of significant new investment in the region at present, which goes back to tell me that we've got people looking at our area to create new jobs. Of course, we've got the oil and gas production, but in short, rural Texas provides the indispensable resources that allow urban Texans to enjoy their lives and support critical segments of the national economy. Rural regions are also benefiting from the desire of many people to escape to pleasant environs, whether it's weekend tourists or permanent residents. For these areas to remain viable and serve their critical role in all of our lives, they require investments in schools, healthcare, infrastructure, broadband, and the other key components of sustainability. Providing resources to rural Texas is essential. To do otherwise is to eat our seed corn. So that is straight from Ray Perryman. And to share that with you today, let's all keep our tides high and our boats afloat, and let us know if there is anything we can do to help you. And we do appreciate everything that Nacogdoches County brings to this whole picture. Thanks so much.
And Nancy, I just want to be sure that we can share those comments, that the Ray Perryman comments.
Yes, and he gave those to me to share on at this event. So yes, it's fine.
Well, that's a good thing, because Kelly posted the comments in the chat section if you want to download it and print it. So feel free to take a peek at it, folks. Thank you, Nancy. Any questions of Nancy? If not, I'm pleased to welcome the Director of Communications for the Nacogdoches Independent School District, Les Langbarger. Good morning, Les.
Hey, good morning, Wayne, and good morning, everyone. A reminder for any of you with students attending Nacogdoches ISD, October 8th, 11th, and 12th will be a fall break for NISD students. That's a Friday, Monday, and Tuesday, wrapped around a weekend. Our staff will also be off on the Friday and Monday around that weekend, but they'll return on the Tuesday, October 12th, for a workday without students present. And then students will be back in school that week on October 13th. One other thing I want to mention, our Dragons football team plays Pine Tree at home Friday at 7:30 p.m. Last week, NHS beat White House for its first win of the season, and more importantly, it was the district opener. So Nacogdoches is one of 4 teams atop the 9-5A standings. And because of a scheduling quirk brought on by last year's campaign that was altered by COVID, NHS has 6 home games scheduled this season. So counting Friday's matchup with Pine Tree, the Dragons still have 4 games left at the friendly confines. I encourage you to come out and watch the Dragons play. Wayne, that's all I've got. Thank you.
Les, congratulations on the win, the big win last weekend, and we appreciate the opportunity to help you convey the messages. I don't see Anita Scott on the call. Anybody have anything else they'd like to contribute before we adjourn the call? If not, I'd like to take a second, first of all, and thank you all for participating today, and thank Representative Clardy for that update. Certainly a lot going on in Austin that's going to impact Nacogdoches County. I hope you're going to, most of you, I'll see you tonight at the banquet tonight. I'm pleased to say the golf tournament, which is a week from next Friday, it has been completely filled. So if you're contemplating a team, sadly, we can't accommodate you, but we're all looking forward to joining you on that Friday morning at the Nacogdoches Country Club for a great, for the Pineywood Country Club for a great day. And with that, I will see you folks this evening. Have a great evening. Thank you to all our presenters.